We are going to start today's session with a conversation with Alok Nandan, founding general partner of First Raise Venture Partners. Alok, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Shramana. Great to be back. Thanks for having me.
You have been here with your previous firm, Emergent Partners, yeah?
Yes.
So what's new? Looks like a lot of new things have happened to you.
Yeah. So let me just quickly update. So COVID, as you know, accelerated a lot of things. And what happened was I was coming on to 4 years with my previous firm. I had joined them. Ankur, the managing partner there, started the firm, and I joined him. And I was noodling of starting my own firm, over the past couple of years, and I'll talk about why. But COVID just accelerated it. So late last year, I started First Raise Venture Partners. We were actually very busy last 6 months. We did 10 investments. And, from our first fund one is fully deployed. Now, first check, now we are raising fund two, and we are starting to invest out of fund two starting in this summer. Yeah.
And what are catch us up on the vital statistics of the new fund? What size,
Sure.
What fund one, what fund two going to be,
Yeah.
and what is the investment thesis?
Yeah, sure. So Fund One was a $20 million vehicle. We were investing in B2B software companies with a specific focus on cloud infrastructure and data infrastructure. So more infrastructure layer than application layer. And
Okay.
we've done 10 investments. A median check size is 750K. The second fund, we are targeting to be a $50 million fund. We have raised more than 60% of that already. And we would do about 20 or so investments with a typical check size median of 1 million, with reserves of similar amounts of follow on in Series A.
Okay.
So that's, yeah.
So talk about what you want to see before you're willing to write $1 million check.
Yeah, no, that's a very good question.
It's like the $1 million question in the quarters that we travel.
Yeah. So, I can go. There are certain filters by which we look for entrepreneurs, right? Now, at the seed stage, a lot of data and metrics is actually not available. Like, you don't know much about revenue. You can't talk to customers because sometimes startups may not already have paying customers, right? So what you're really betting on is actually the founders or the founding team and the category in which they are playing, right? So I'll talk about both of them. In terms of the founders, we look for founders who have demonstrated resilience and self-awareness. Why? Because a journey of a startup is a lot of it is about internal battles and not just external battles. A typical journey takes 7 to 8 years, if not longer. So if the founder or the founding team has demonstrated that resilience and that self-awareness, that they can weather the ups and downs and stay, keep equanimity and keep going and push through everything that life throws at them, that is something we actively look for. And there are certain ways in which you can look for those signals in what they have done in their past lives, what kind of trajectory they are in their past careers and so on, right? So that's number one on the founding team. Secondly, on the category or the space, one of the areas that I'm, as you probably know, AI is, everywhere, and it's going to become pervasive, in the next 10 years, just like mobile. Nobody talks about mobile today. In 2010, everything was about mobile. I don't know if you recall that, but now, everybody's talking about AI, right? In 10 years, nobody's going to talk about AI because AI is going to be pervasive. It's going to be in every workflow, every tool, every product, right? Now, we are not investing in AI per se from the new fund. Our thesis is around more of picks and shovels for AI. So tools, developer tools, infrastructure tools, API tools, cybersecurity tools, data infra. So anything that enables somebody to build better AI, faster AI, cheaper AI. That is something we are, actively looking for. So those are the categories, and within that, I can unpack it, right, around data, around sort of the cloud migration, and then around cybersecurity and privacy. Those are sort of big themes that we look for within this, sort of picks and shovels play. Yeah.
So So to net out the answer to my question, what are you looking for? You're really looking for a founder that you feel good about.
Yeah, I mean, it is, unfortunately, it is a little subjective because at the seed stage, you don't have that much metrics, right, to go after. At Series A and beyond, you have numbers you can look at. At seed stage, you don't have numbers. So a lot of times it is a qualitative bet, less so of a quantitative bet. And the qualitative bet is around the founding team's domain expertise and their sort of, ability to execute on and going after hard problems. And some of that is demonstrated by their past experience.
So does that translate into that you are looking for serial entrepreneurs only?
Not necessary. See, first-time founders, if they have worked in other startups which are fast-growing, or even if they have been in other companies where they have demonstrated that they took on a big problem and solved it, that is something we actively look for. Obviously, serial entrepreneurs would be great too, but that's not the only criteria for us, right? There are other ways in which a founder can demonstrate that they have this ability to venture out and do something, right? It doesn't have to be their own company. It could be part of some other startup or some other bigger company as well.
So let's double click down on the 10 investments that you've made already with this picks and shovels investment thesis, and give us some examples of what you have invested in, why
Sure.
you've invested in those, and what are the specifics of, was this a first-time founder, was it a serial entrepreneur? Let's take some case studies.
Yeah. Sure. I can talk about one that I'm excited about. They are still a little bit, they're not fully public yet, so I can't talk about all the things, but I can give the contours. So this is a founder. There's actually two founders. They both are in the Valley. They both have 20 plus years of experience in the networking space. They've worked in companies like Cisco, Juniper, and so on. One of the founders, the CEO, he was in another venture-backed company. He was the VP of engineering there. And the other founder was in another venture-backed company. He was a founding engineer there. So they're both engineers. The problem they are going after is COVID has accelerated this work from home or remote work. And what has happened is a lot of venture capital dollars have gone into, what is the next way of collaboration, whether it's the next Slack, next whiteboarding tool, and so on. But there is another section of the team, which is the engineering team and the DevOps team, which also are working from home. And the kind of work they do is actually become 10 times harder in this remote environment. I'll give you an example. When a software is deployed in the cloud so that people can access it, it requires you to upload a bunch of data, right? Now, if you're working from home, your internet bandwidth is not as fast as when you're working from the office, right? Typically, the speed of internet at home is much slower. Now, if I'm trying to upload a lot of data from my home, it's going to take forever. My job is 10 times harder. So this, and the second thing is these, if you're familiar with the SolarWinds attack, right? It was a cybersecurity attack, right? That is going after this exact workflow of DevOps tools accessing data and code in the cloud when you're uploading your software so everyone can access it as a supply chain attack, right? And so what this company is doing is building a cloud native version of what is known as privileged access management, or a PAM. So it's a cloud native PAM, right? And there are other public companies. There's a company called CyberArk. There's another company that recently was acquired by Thoma Bravo for $1 billion. It's a company called Thycotic. So they are previous generation PAM tools. There is no cloud native PAM tool that exists in the market today, especially that works in this remote work environment where every engineer, every DevOps engineer is working from home and trying to just access these cloud resources in a secure manner and a performant manner, right? So that's an example of a picks and shovels. It's a cybersecurity and a DevOps tool. It is enabling people to work in a performant and secure way from wherever they are working in a remote environment. And it is, there is some AI also inside it, but that's still being built out, right? So that's in a, sort of a broad contour of the investment, one of the investments. Yeah.
Great. Very good. Very good example of what you define picks and shovels by. Do you want to do another use case like that?
There's another one, it's not yet public, but I can again give a contour of it. Actually, let me take another one, which is public. So this is a company called Blitz.io with a double Z. This is there are two founders. One of them is a technical founder. He was in another venture funded company. He was the director of engineering there. The CEO, she was in another venture founded company that went public, and then she was in SAP's accelerator program. And so the problem they are going after is, again, around this data replication. So a lot of data today, even in a Fortune 500, sits on-prem, on on-prem servers, on-prem databases. Cloud is a mega trend. Everyone is moving to the cloud. But to move petabytes of data from an on-prem database like an Oracle database or a SQL Server to a cloud database or a warehouse like a Snowflake or a Databricks, it takes a long time. I mean, the data replication, every time something changes, you don't want to copy the whole database over to the cloud. You only want to copy the changes over, right? Now, copying the delta changes of the data that's coming in is very hard. It's a very hard computer science problem. That is what these guys are going after, which is how do you incrementally keep two databases in sync, where one database is sitting in on-prem in some data center in a company's office, and the other database is sitting in the cloud, whether it is Amazon or Azure or Google or what have you, right? How do you keep these two sync in a performant and a cost-effective way? So that is the problem they are solving. Again, it is data infrastructure. It is sort of, there is no fancy AI in it. There's very little UI, but the core of the innovation is how do you do this data replication between on-prem to cloud or between cloud to cloud in a cost-effective and performant manner. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Alok, do you have an analysis of the infrastructure space that you're investing in, where you have identified open problems that you want to invest in that you haven't yet found an entrepreneur team to invest
into? Absolutely. I can tell you a lot of them. So again, I'm passionate about data infrastructure. I mean, as you probably know, Snowflake is one of the largest IPOs in the history of the US, right? The space, within data infrastructure space, I'll give you a couple of examples. One is something called data lineage, right? What is data lineage, right? So today, when you create a customer account, let's say you're a Uber customer, right? You have an account with Uber. Now that account information about you with Uber is not just sitting in one database. It is replicated across 20, 30 databases. Jeff Bezos talked about this, what is known as specialized databases for specialized use cases, right, in his 2019 annual letter. And what has happened in the enterprise today is there is now a fragmentation of this databases. So now there is a graph database, there is a key value database, there is a document database, there is a relational database, and on and on and on. And so there's like literally hundreds of different types of databases, right? Now, data lineage is how do you track when somebody makes a change within one, right? So this is different from Blitz. Blitz is more about on-prem to cloud or cloud to cloud. This is within on-prem also, right? When you make a change, let's say Shramana updates her phone number in your Uber account, right? It's quite possible, right? How does that change get traced through all these other databases that are sitting in the Uber's infrastructure, right? Okay. That is a hard problem. It is not solved. There are a couple of companies. There's a company called Manta, M-A-N-T-A. It was just recently funded by Bessemer. So, but I'm actively looking for companies like that. If there is a company like that, I would love to talk to them. Okay. So that's an example. Again, I can go on and on. In the data infra, there's another one in cybersecurity as well. Again, talking about data security right? After solar winds, right? I don't know how much you know about the solar wind supply chain attack, right? Basically, many prominent CISOs have said, if you're an organization, just assume that you have been breached. Assume that the
Mm-hmm.
attacker is in your organization. Now, so the first line of defense is breached. Now, what is the second line of defense? Typically, the second line of defense is identity. So you continuously authorize whoever is trying to access the data. Assume that there are bad actors already in your organization, right? Now, how do you make sure what else can you do? So the next step is identity-based security, right? Which is anybody who's trying to access your data, whether it is customer data or internal data, right? How do you make sure that they have the authority to access that data, right? And they are doing it from they're not doing it from some personal laptop, right? Which is quite possible in a remote work environment. I'm just sitting at home, I try to get some work done from my personal laptop, right? So how do you make sure that in this remote work environment, data access and data governance is followed in the post where the attackers could already be inside your organization, right? There's a term for this. It's known as insider threat, right? And it's a very well-known term. But that's another example of us looking. I'm actively looking for solutions for this insider threat attacks.
Okay. Very good. Very good. This is all. This is very helpful to make entrepreneurs out there aware of what open problems are being sought by investors. Great.
Yep.
Now, switching a little bit to a different line of questioning, what are you thinking in terms of how you want to play this fund? Are you looking for unicorns? Are you looking for strategic early exits? What's the analysis?
Yeah, I mean, see, when we come in, right, it's two guys in a garage most of the times, or a girl or a guy in the garage, right? It is very hard to predict if any of them will become a unicorn, right? So we can't base our strategy on companies becoming unicorns, right? We cannot, right? And given our fund size, right, with the number of bets we make, even if they get acquired, if they are in a good space, they're a good team, if they acquired for 100 million or so, that is a decent return for us, and if, so our strategy, our fund strategy does not, we are not dependent on any of our companies becoming a unicorn. Let me put it that way, right? So, even if none of our companies become unicorns, we will still do fine because of our fund size and our fund strategy. Right. And that is a conscious decision, right? There's others. And in B2B space, right? And that's another thing I'll just, for the audience, help them understand, right? In B2C is a very hits driven business. It's like movie business, right? It's hit. You get a Facebook or you get a Snapchat. Otherwise, most of the rest go to zero. B2B is not like that. And B2B software is absolutely not like that, right? Where there's a lot of exits that happen in the sub $100 to $200 million exit, right? And that
most exits are sub $50 million exits in B2B.
So 50 to 100. I mean, depends, right? If it is strategic, then it goes to like 70, 80, or 100. I mean, sometimes in cybersecurity, in data infra, in networking, I mean, 200, 250 happens quite a lot. Right, if it is very strategic. But yes, you're right that most of these are sub, whatever, $200 million majority, right? And so that is something that is sort of consciously baked into our strategy, that we don't need to rely on unicorns for us to return a fund, if that helps. Yeah,
good. Now, what is your assessment to make money as an investor in a, let's say, $50 to $100 million exit bracket? What is the maximum amount of money that you want to put into a company as a full amount of capital, not just your side of the check? Maybe there are other syndicates and so forth. But what is the total amount of capital that you recommend?
No, that's a good question. Yeah, no, that's a good question. See, anytime if a company raises more than 10 million total in the lifetime of the company, then to get an exit that is a 50 to 100 is hard, right? Because any investor who comes in with whatever check size in that 10 million, right, they would want at least a 5 to 10x, right? And so it becomes really hard to, so I would say
Yes.
if the going in assumption is you're going to get a 50 to 100 million exit, do not raise more than 7 to 8 million that in the lifetime of the company, right? Ideally, the lesser the better, but obviously less is more challenging because then you can't execute on stuff. So I would say the optimal amount is you raise like 4 to 5 million. You get your product in the market, get to customers, get to million ARR. If you are a strategic fit for somebody, I think somebody will buy you, right? In the 30, 40, 50 million, right? I think that's if that is the entrepreneur's goal, right, then that is, I think, a very sound strategy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, given the number of problems out there that are actually not necessarily these very large problems, but they need to be solved,
Yes.
This is not a bad strategy. We always, in deciding on what is the right strategy for an entrepreneur's fundraising / exit, we often take this into consideration, is that, it's okay to also play a different game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you also, this is sort of a little bit of education for the entrepreneurs, right? A lot of first-time entrepreneurs, they don't even ask a VC, what is your fund size?
Yes.
That is an absolute must-have. They should know, because there is a saying in VC land, right? If you tell me your fund size, I will tell you your strategy.
Right.
So the fund size
Right.
is the strategy of the VC fund, right? And as a consequence, if I'm an entrepreneur, if I'm talking to somebody which has a $200 million fund, they will look at it to you very differently from a VC who has a $25 million fund, right?
Right.
And
right.
that is
We stress a lot. We
Yeah.
stress investor entrepreneur fit a lot, and fund size is very much a consideration that we take into account in deciding where one should play. And I've talked to a lot of, as you know, we talk to investors all the time. Some investors with smaller fund sizes exit into Series A or Series B,
Yes.
which is a fine fund strategy as well.
Yeah, and that is happening more and more. So that's another great point, right? It doesn't need to be that the company needs to sell fully outright, right? There are now liquidity options both for individual founders to get some liquidity out, or for, there are all these now marketplaces, right? Like equities, and I mean, for somewhat late stage, but also that is moving sooner and sooner. And to your point, right, that even at Series B stage, sometimes there are certain investors which are okay to sell their positions to other later stage investors, right? So that is also possible, right? And if you as a founder, initially you thought, oh, I will get to Series B, I'll see if I can exit out. And then you see, oh, this is a much bigger market. Then you need to get a different set of investors, right, who can take you from 100 to 1 billion, right? And that's totally fair
absolutely.
game, right? So I think that, yeah.
Very good, very interesting conversation. Alok, I wish you all the best with first raise, and I'm sure we'll have a chance to cross paths again soon.
Thank you, Shamana. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.